Yes. Remember when President Joe Biden tweeted this out? Quote here, border wall is the physical embodiment of Donald Trump's inability to develop immigration policy. His use of the Department of Defense fund for the wall is a phony answer to the real challenges we face, and he knows it, end quote. But now there are new reports here, and how about this? This is breaking news from yesterday. The Biden administration will allow construction on a 13.4-mile stretch of border wall in the Rio Grande Valley. It apparently comes amid pressure from local residents and politicians locally. The Biden administration previously halted all wall construction in January. Joining us now to discuss the mayor, Arturo Garino of Nogales, Arizona. Mayor, good to see you. Thanks so much for coming on. I know that you talked about this.
Thank you. Good morning.
Absolutely. You talked about this a few months ago. How is the border now, in your opinion?
Well, the border right now in Nogales is very safe because we've had the wall for many years. East and west of Nogales, they did halt the construction on the wall. But that's very far away from the city of Nogales itself.
So the wall has been in Nogales there for quite some time. Simple question, does it work? Have you seen the results of the wall working in your town?
Yes, it has. It has worked, and I've talked to Border Patrol and CBP, and they both confirmed that it does work. And as far as right now as everything's going, the majority of the seizures and drugs have been seized and arrested these people in the border itself, which is both of our ports of entry, and also on the checkpoint north of Nogales, the Border Patrol has on I-19.
We've seen some National Guard members deployed in various areas to help out ICE, to help out Border Patrol agents there. Do you have any of that going on in your town, or no? You've got it under control?
No, actually, no. We haven't had any military here. They did mention that some were going to be sent. I don't know if they were going to be sent to the outskirts of the city of Nogales, but within the city limits, we don't have any military right now.
Before I let you go, just back to a political standpoint here. Obviously, as we pointed out at the beginning of this interview, it's an about-face when we showed you the tweet from President Biden condemning border walls, essentially, to going to present day, reconstruction there of the border wall, bringing that back, 13 miles, in fact. What do you make of that?
You know, I think that's very interesting. And, and I know in the Texas area, they've had a lot of migrants coming in through all the holes in the walls, and it's been a strain for Border Patrol in that area. And what you need to do when it comes to law enforcement and Border Patrol is you need to channel whatever's coming across everything to the main ports of entry to go through the proper channels of coming across legally, not to the outskirts and making it rough for Border Patrol. So that could be a reason why maybe they're going to continue the construction, but I think maybe it's something that they need to do in the Texas area, because I've seen the holes that they have over there. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. All right. Mayor, good to see you. Mayor Arturo Garino of Nogales, Arizona. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You got it.
Thank you.
Coming up, calls are growing to remove Kamala Harris as the border czar. Talk to Arizona's Attorney General about the letter he wrote to the president over the matter and why he's advocating for the vice president's removal. That's coming up next. Story, the Attorney General for Arizona now calling on President Biden to remove Kamala Harris as the so-called border czar. This is the Biden administration now plans to resume construction for 13 miles of the border wall across the Rio Grande Valley. The move comes after Border Patrol agents in the area reported a surge in recent crossings. New video shows it as well. Joining us this morning to tell us more about the letter to the president is Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. Mark, good to see you today. Interestingly, you sent a letter to the president directly asking him to remove VP Harris as border czar. I'll read from it. You said, in part, Harris has failed to articulate any plan to deal with the devastating effects of this crisis. Talk to me about what you mean, and also why you think now it's time for Kamala Harris to have that title taken away.
Emma, it's quite frankly as simple as this. It's something I taught my kids at a young age, that a failure to plan is planning to fail. And so the Biden administration is refusing to even acknowledge there's a crisis. And meanwhile, We have record amounts of people crossing our border. You alluded to the recent numbers. Let's just put them in context for everyone watching this morning. There was approximately 178,000 people, just over that, crossing the border illegally in the month of April. In April of 2020, so just a year ago under President Trump, that number was 17,000. So that's a tenfold increase. We know it's expected that 2 million people will cross the border illegally just this year. That's like the entire population of Nebraska crossing just in 1 year. And so it's having a devastating impact. The cartels are using it to increase their profits and to increase the supply of drugs by smuggling heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl into our country. We know that there's been people on the terror watch list that have been apprehended, which is a threat to our national security. We know that as a result of the Biden administration policies, as a result of one of our lawsuits, Emma, we've uncovered internal documents that show the Biden administration themselves knew that their policies would lead to a 50% reduction in people being arrested and processed for deportation. So when people aren't being deported, there's 1.2 million people right now in this country, deportation orders. When they're not being deported, what happens? They are released into our communities. So you literally have the Biden administration releasing people that are dangerous, people that have been convicted of crimes like arson and sexual assault, being released into our communities. So it's dangerous. It is wrong on so many levels. And in any other place in the world, that if you had someone that was assigned to address this issue that's completely ignored it, and the situation has gotten worse in the 2 or 3 months she's been assigned to it, they would, of course, be removed. And that's what we're saying. Yeah. She's failed to do her job, so let's get someone in there that will be serious about addressing the concerns.
Really quick for you, Mark, I'm just curious about the qualifications that these migrants might have that would allow them to stay. If you could maybe break that down and perhaps how those might have changed from the previous administration. Have they widened the availability for people to stay?
Yeah, what I would say, Emma, is that they have decriminalized by halting all the deportations, and then they've incentivized. As you know, we also have a lawsuit. We have a cert petition at the U.S. Supreme Court because the Biden administration withdrew the public charge rule. So they're trying to give benefits like child care and health care to people that have crossed illegally. There's an $87 million contract to provide housing in hotels here in the Phoenix area and elsewhere in the country for people that are coming across. So they've decriminalized, and now they're incentivizing. And in essence, what the Biden administration has done is they said, come on over here, and you're not going to be deported. You're going to get government benefits if they have their way. And then they're basically they're releasing people, and they're giving them paperwork, sometimes not even paperwork, that basically says, we'll show up in 2 years for a hearing. So this is a recipe for disaster. And everyone that's watching this should appreciate that this is like a ticking time bomb in this sense. So you have people on the terror watch list being apprehended. You have people charged and convicted of crimes being released into our communities. We have an increase of drugs like fentanyl and heroin coming into our country. And ultimately, the question is, how are we going to absorb millions of people every year in the United States? How is that going to impact us fiscally? How is it going to impact us from a public safety perspective? How is it going to impact us national security perspective? Yeah. The Biden administration has no answers to this.
So many questions as you continue to ask. I mean, I think about the migrant kids too. You know that they're innocent as well, and yet they're being sent over to this country. They need some help, and someone needs to address it. The president and perhaps the border czar Kamala Harris should be doing so.
And last thing on that,
really
Emma,
quick,
is that there's about 22,000 kids, unaccompanied minors, right now in custody. The Biden administration is refusing to allow media access. Remember all those left-wing media stories when President Trump was around and they were showing all these kids? The Biden administration will give access. Even Democratic members of Congress are saying that they need to provide more transparency. So even the left, even the Democrats realize that it's unacceptable. We as a society ultimately get judged by how we treat the least among us. And what the Biden administration has done is by incentivizing people to cross here illegally, these poor kids are being exploited. And so it's a problem. And we have to do something to decrease the incentives, or we're going to continue to see people being exploited, being taken advantage of, and literally, kids in, detention facilities.
No, I mean, you can't argue with the lack of transparency, quite frankly, just the reporters not able to get in. Mark Brnovich joining us live on the program with the latest with that. Mark, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Emma.
You got
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.